Hello, hola, and buenas, buenas. Welcome back to Laguna Galaxiana, a podcast made with love. On tonight's episode, we'll be looking ahead to the Galaxy's upcoming visit by one of the hottest teams in the league, the Vancouver Whitecaps, on Saturday, May 2nd for Match Day 11. We'll break down ways the underdog Galaxy could steal a win, look at Vancouver's weapons, and LA's potential stars that could step up to save the day. We'll be joined by Canadian Soccer Daily's Harja Hall, as well as Alexander Gangue-Ruzic from One Soccer to help preview this match, but also to fill us in on the volatile potential relocation situation happening in Vancouver as the fans there fight to save the Caps. Plus, we'll bring you more notes from the FIFA Congress and anything that stuck out to us. All that and more coming up on Laguna Galaxiana. DJ Cito, you know what to do. Spin that track. Cheese up.
Yeah, let's get it started with a new year, new me. Una Galaxiana still reporting on the news feed, yeah. And you know who it be, the 6-star from the Jersey, putting work in the league. Word on the street, we rip teams immaculately. We see the players come and go, but I'm forever a G. And you can catch me yelling tactics on the field when I leave. Get it together like I'm Vanny when I'm giving a speech. Back to the pitch, score goals, dribbling tricks. I heard a transfer window rumor, let me see who it is. I got statistics on the player, puzzle pieces that fit. Con este show que es tan bilingüe que tu papi lo ve. Rápido pues, hablando de este club otra vez. En las buenas y en las malas, we got love for the crest, love for LA. Let's get it started, light up the stage. Every week on Monday night I'm tuning into the place. Yeah, you know what it is. It's Laguna Galaxiana, 4th season, Rob Ananda. And my name, ya te lo sabes.
Welcome back to Laguna Galaxiana, a podcast always made with love for all you LA Galaxy fans, wherever you may be, and honestly, for all you soccer fans, this podcast is for you too. If you like soccer, if you like ball, you have a home here. Come into our open arms. We would like to receive you. I'm one of your co-hosts, Rob Halone. You can find my written work at the Sporting Tribune, and you can find me online at El Escudero de LA, and of course, right next to me, como siempre, el yerno guapo y el Aitana perdido, but most importantly, el papá de Natita, mi sobrinita, Ananda Kirana. Papa, it's Vancouver, and they've been fired.
They absolutely have. What a tough test for this Galaxy team. But first of all, I just want to say what's up to everyone in chat and everyone listening right now. But, you know, good to be back with y'all, especially before it's not a must win or anything like that, but it is a massive win or a massive game. Speaking into existence, I'm saying massive win already. It would be a massive win. And especially to kick off the May schedule, which is another gauntlet, Papa. 1 game a week, only one competition. The players said it was good for them. Maya said it was good if they only make it good. Well, the first test is now. Can they make it 2 in a row at home against the Whitecaps? We will find out this weekend.
Yeah, we certainly will. And we have a lot. We have a lot to talk about regarding Vancouver. Not just the game, but stuff happening off the field.
Yep.
And we have a couple of good guests to help us talk about all that. But before we go any further, we want to get to this comment in chat here by Jesse Anthony 94. RIP Alpha. He designed the MF Doom Tifo, Vans Black, Ultra Capo, once a G, always a G. Yeah, man, a moment for Alpha for sure. May his memory be a blessing. And peace to his family. Sorry to hear that, Jesse. That's terrible. But like you said, once a G, always a G. Remember all those good times that you had in the stands together. That's definitely one of those moments of solace that you could take. But geez, man, I don't even know how to follow that up. That's a bummer, man. I'm so sorry. Well, I do want to say, in these moments, just like you guys are seeing in chat, you have folk here that got you. You have a community here, and we're lucky to be part of that community and with you guys. Man, it's Ananda. It's kind of funny, man. Like we always talk about it. Like you and I, we started this humble little podcast, eating wings and drinking beer, and now we, man, have these moments of profound clarity with folk, right? Where you think, man, like life is so fleeting, but you also get put on the other perspective where you go, I'm thankful for those that I have, thankful for those that I've lost and have in my memory. So yeah, condolences to the family, like I said. And anyway, Ananda, like I said, I have really no good segue to that, but we'll just try to carry on here intelligently. But guys, if you got anything to talk to our guests about a little bit later, we do have a super chats available. If you have something to get off your chest, as usual, let us know. We have an outlet for you to go ahead and get that. Just get it all out. If you got something in your heart, let it out. Guys, we told you about the Bonmati camp. Honestly, like if you haven't signed up your little one, I don't know what you're doing. Like if I hit the age requirement, I would be signing up. I mean, not that, you know, Greg hasn't offered to sign me a couple different times, and I've been like, no, I'm gonna let the players do it. You know, that's all them. But you know, it's always good to sharpen up on your skills. So we've told you guys 2 different camps, San Diego and Los Angeles. At the Los Angeles camp, Ananda, your very own Ananda Girana, El Gitano, will be volunteering on the operations staff. So look for him. And this camp is open to boys and girls ages 6 through 16. All skill levels are welcome. Players will be grouped by age and skill level. And we've talked about how the camp is, yes, teaching you skills on the field, but also that big word, character, like how to be a better person as well. And for those of you that are like, well, you know, it's probably just having Bonmati's name on it. Nah, Aitana will be there. She's probably going to lead some of the sessions. So go ahead and check it out. Of course, we have that code for y'all, Lacuna26, if you want some money off. So yeah, get more information at US Aitana Bonmati Camp on Instagram. Ananda, do you know anything else about this? You know, we called this out a couple times, but as it gets closer, have you learned anything new? Like I said, you're going to be on the operations staff. So
yeah, they're finalizing a venue right now, and it looks like it's going to be like towards Orange County. I don't know exactly where, but but you guys, if you want to know more, USAitanaBonmatiCamp.com, or sorry, .org.
yeah,
.com or
y'all
I don't even
heard
know my
it
own
here.
thing. .com. Yeah. So there you go.
It's all right. Like I still have not verified that we have a blue sky, so it's okay. We're, you know, we're both lacking in one regard. Hey, I wanted to call out that El Primo Matthew and Comets will be having First Fridays in conjunction with Lars.
Hey, speak of the devil.
Hey, what up, El Primo? Yeah, Comets and Lars, you know, they a match made in heaven, getting together First Fridays at Steelcraft here in Bellflower. And I say here in Bellflower because I'm just you know, just right down the road. El Primo says, "Oh damn, totally wrong tone." I know, man. I mean, you're okay. Like you're here to liven it up. You know, this is exactly what I was talking about. Like these moments are community, and we need to come together as community. So, First Fridays at Steelcraft. Go ahead and check it out. So at the stadium, I know a bunch of y'all are gonna get rowdy because it's WWE night, and I know I have a bunch of WWE fans out there. I mean, even some of the Galaxy players, Ananda, are big WWE fans, and they've been at different WWE events here in Los Angeles, and they've been pictured. And that this legend, I guess, Charlotte Flair is gonna be there. meeting people. So go ahead and get there for the meet and greet from 6 to 7 if you want to go ahead and meet Charlotte Flair. And there's a limited edition LA Galaxy WWE knit scarf also being hawked around. So go ahead and look out for that. And you can get photos of the replica WWE Championship belt at Soccer Fest. And like I said, Ananda, I know I have a bunch of WWE heads in the the Galaxy sphere. So man, I know that line is going to be around the corner. Did you ever get down on wrestling when you were growing up, man?
Nah, wrestling wasn't on the agenda, but I had a lot of friends that did for sure. So wrong person to speak on this one.
Yeah, I had a moment, man, but I particularly for Miss Charlotte's pop. Like I watched wrestling when I was a lad, and that's when Ric Flair was doing his thing. Shouts of Mankind in the chat. Yes, Mankind. Exactly. But yeah, this is going to be a fun event as well. That night will be Filipino Heritage Night. So go ahead and look out for that ticket pack on the Galaxy socials. This is also AAPI Heritage Month, and $5 from every ticket from this ticket pack goes to benefiting the Philippine Independence Day Foundation. We have Tab in the chat says, not a WWE guy, but can't lie, the scarf is clean. I agree. I don't watch wrestling anymore, but it's a really, really clean scarf. And yeah, so shout out. Anyway, so this is also happening, like I said, on WWE Night, Filipino Heritage Night. So look out for that and find that ticket pack. And then culminating here with the shout outs, we have VCFC. I already let you know on the last pod, guys, that their next match will be against the San Jose Earthquakes 2 on Friday, May 1st, at home at the Willie Roll at 7 p.m. Ananda, if the match between the first teams is the California Classico, what would this one be called?
Clasiquito?
the little classic. I like
the Clasiquito.
Yeah, we're getting super original on that one, guys, but we'll come up with something. But anyway, like I said, this one is going down on Friday, May 1st. And yeah, I suppose this is as good as time as any to let you know that you guys shouldn't miss these amazing guests that we're having. And the only way to know that we're going to be having them is if you hit that notification bell, if you subscribe. We've had one of our guests already on the show, and so he's coming back, and then we have a newbie as well. So and that's always a good time. And like we said, they are here, because they're pretty much boots on the ground there and in Vancouver. And I do got to put a disclaimer out there. We are going to be talking about the FIFA Congress, and there were just another way to say it, like political things that happened at the Congress. So if you are politically averse, if you don't want to talk about politics at all, you probably are best off skipping like the next 20 I don't know, Ananda, is that pretty much accurate, like 20 minutes as we talk about FIFA Congress, or maybe less? I
don't know. I'm gonna leave you to it, showrunner. I'm gonna leave you to it.
Oh, dang, he put the ball in my court. But yeah, like I said, if that's not really your bag, oh snaps, y'all heard him. But like I said, if that's not really your bag, feel free to check back in with us in a couple minutes. But yeah, like I said, it's not really that we're gonna get into a lot of political topics, but political things happened at the Congress, and so we're going to be covering as journalists what we saw and what our colleagues saw and what they can go ahead and bring as context for the day, because not only is the Galaxy's opponent the Vancouver Whitecaps, but the FIFA Congress happened in Vancouver, and all this is happening amidst the Save the Caps movement, which when you put everything together, it's like for a moment, Vancouver is like the center of the soccer world, and so it's great to have our guests on. I suppose now is as good as time as any to bring you our first. Please welcome back to the show. He's a journalist for CPL Soccer, One Soccer, and the co-host of the Third Sub podcast. Bienvenido and welcome once again, Alexander Gangue-Ruzic. Welcome back, man. Glad you're here with us again.
Good to see you guys. It's been a minute, but hope you guys are well.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah, man. As can be expected, we haven't gotten canceled yet. But it's a start. Yes, we're trying not to start tonight, but anyway, thanks so much for being back with us, man. We really do appreciate it. Like you said, it has been a minute. I believe it's been about 2 years. So I hope you're well. I hope the life's treated you okay. And there's a big occasion coming to the United States and to Canada, and man, it's just a couple of weeks away now. But as you know, we'll talk Save the Caps and we'll talk other things that happened there in Vancouver. But let's start with something more upbeat. Since we last spoke, like we said about 2 years ago, the Caps have played in 2 finals. They've been one of the better teams in MLS for the past couple of years. They've seen a resurgence on the field. What has it been like covering them through this fruitful period in which they're about to set some records here in MLS?
Yeah, well, you kind of mentioned how long it's been. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure last time we spoke, Vanni Sartini was the Whitecaps coach, and the Galaxy had one less star on the shirt. So kind of gives an idea of how things have gone for both clubs since then. But it's been remarkable. Just last year was, anything you could have dreamed of from a Whitecaps perspective. That heading into the year, that fall, you lose Vanni Sartini, who was such an emblem of the club. You hear rumors, no rumors, they announced like club's up for sale. So you kind of have this uncertainty about what the seasons are going to even look like. You lose Stuart Armstrong right before the season, which at the time felt like the world was falling apart. And then this new coach comes in and he's just completely changed the culture. He's changed the team, the energy about them. They've just become this dominant, ruthless force. And it's been remarkable. Like, this Whitecaps team wasn't bad before. They were pretty good, and they always had this potential in them, but it's remarkable ever since Jesper Sorensen's come in, just the way they ascended to it and the way they've done it. Like, now this team is expected to win every game. They're expected to dominate. And before, they had in them, they'd play these games, you're like, man, this team could one day be one of the best in the league. But then for whatever reason, it clicked. And now every week you come to the stadium and you just expect it. It's certainly been quite the feeling. Because I know in LA, you've seen that before with the Galaxy. For the Whitecaps, this is completely new territory.
Yeah, I was going to ask you too, like, just covering that team last year and making that run all the way to MLS Cup. I mean, for you as a journalist, like we had that same sort of journey in 2024 unexpectedly, might have came unexpectedly for you guys as well. But just how was that, just covering that run? Unfortunately didn't end with the prize at the end, but what a magical run for that team.
Yeah, well, I've been lucky enough now. I lose track. I think this is year 7 of me covering the Whitecaps. And pretty much all the highlights are dated 2025 and I guess into 2026. Like CONCACAF, just some of those games, the Pumas Monterrey was cool. That Miami series was one of the best I've seen up close and personal, seeing the way the Whitecaps won that. And then, of course, the playoffs, like that LAFC home game might be a top 3 game I've ever seen at BC Place. Sold out crowd, beating LAFC. Like it was such a cathartic feeling for the club, because LAFC had been that team that had kind of stood in their way so many times. Champions Cup, MLS Cup playoffs, to finally win the way they did in front of that sold out crowd was incredible. And then just reaching the final, and even for the final, for as frustrating and heartbreaking as it was to lose a final like that, just the way they went out too. Like they went out to Miami, put up a good account of themselves, and on another day, maybe there isn't that triple post by Emmanuel Sabi and the Whitecaps win, but that's football. The Whitecaps have been on the wrong end of that for so many times. Against LAFC, they're on the right side of it. They survived a triple post. You kind of laugh, like, that's football. That's luck for you. And hey, as long as they keep doing the right things, you feel like more is coming. That's also the optimistic part. This wasn't some one-off flash in the pan. It feels like this team is built to succeed for a long time. But of course, now the bigger worry is almost off the field, because on the field, it feels like they've clicked every button.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you just mentioned it, and you know, we actually did hear from her to go ahead and give you Guneros an update. It looks like she's stuck covering a story there at the Congress, so she won't be joining us. So we wish her well, we wish her luck. But there's a lot going on, like we mentioned, guys. They're in Vancouver. You know, the Congress is there, and a bunch of other stuff is happening. So Alexander, tell me, what stood out to you today, like in you know, just being around the city? You know, for you, what were kind of the things that were the biggest moments, I guess?
Yeah, it was a busy day, right? Because it started showing up in the morning, and the Whitecap supporters had managed to put together a bit of a rally, which was nice because you couldn't miss them at the entrance to the FIFA Congress. Like I saw a couple CAF delegates walk right through the protest. You see some other people. I don't know if Don Garber saw it, but I imagine, because he was obviously around, saw him today. He didn't speak to media, which was something that left a lot of people frustrated after the last 24 hours in the activity of his Twitter account. But that's a whole other story. But yeah, it was just that started set the tone for what was to come. Then the Congress itself, I mean, it was kind of what you expect from it. A lot of, you know, back padding, a lot of, you know, logistical admin stuff, money, financials. But then, you know, throughout the concert, there was obviously a lot of curiosity about what would happen when Iran's delegation was announced in the attendance, because obviously it had been reported that one of their members of the delegation didn't even make it in the country, and they decided just to all leave. And then sure enough, they're announcing attendance, and 210 of the countries, they're like present. And then Iran came up and they're like absent. And then they moved on, and everyone just kind of like had a bit of a hush, like, okay, that was a bit weird. And then
that was weird. That was awkward.
It's like, okay, that wasn't supposed to happen. And of course, everything went as normal. And then they announced that both the delegations from Israel and Palestine wanted to speak. And then the Palestinian president came up, and our football association president came up and gave a very passionate, like 10-minute speech, kind of, you know, going after FIFA a little bit, going after Israel. And then the Israeli delegation came in, and, you know, kind of, he didn't really go after anyone. He was just trying to soften the blow on his part, like, you know, trying to downplay it. And then Gianni Infantino tries to bring them together, and the Palestinian FA president obviously refuses. He's like, I don't want to be seen near this guy. He calls him out. He's like, this
must have been a wild moment, man.
Again, it's one where everyone's looking at each other, because otherwise it was a very mild-mannered, buttoned-up event. And there for a moment you could feel the tension, no shaking hands. Everyone's kind of looking. It was very dramatic for otherwise, though. I mean, that was probably the one flashpoint of it all, but definitely fascinating to see that occur, because obviously that's a, you know, that conflict runs deep. That's a generational conflict. That's one that's, you know, doesn't look like any close to being resolved anytime soon. And then from there, the rest was pretty standard. Tried to get some people to speak to after. Don Garber, one of them, he obviously swept through without a comment, and that was kind of the end of my FIFA Congress experience. So definitely a wild 5 to 6 hours.
You know what? I'll reach out to Don. This is actually his favorite podcast. He's always in chat. It's crazy, like how much I'm like, stop fanboying over us, Don. Stop it. Anyway,
yeah,
man,
support,
like
so
it must have been crazy to see all these things happen. Oh, I'm sorry. What?
I was like, Vancouver needs that support right now. So put your name in the hat if Don's lurking. But I can't.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No. We are all about that Vancouver support here, because and you know what, we'll get to this in a moment, because that is its own separate thing beyond the FIFA Congress, right? And you know, like I said, there this FIFA Congress, like you pretty much covered it succinctly. You know, like these two federation presidents from, you know, countries that are perpetually at war and currently at war. We're kind of got caught in an awkward moment by the FIFA president Gianni Infantino. Infantino also confirms that another country currently at war will be at the World Cup that's being held in the country that they're currently at war with. So that's also a little weird. And then, like Alexander said, the president of that nation wasn't even allowed to be there. The president of the federation of the soccer federation, that is, wasn't even allowed to be there. So a lot of kind of weird moments, but it's like these are also historic moments. I mean, they're moments in history, so it must have been crazy for you to see those up close, Alexander. We also did find out that the hosts of the 2031 and 2035 World Cup tournaments for the Women's World Cup, of course, will be confirmed by FIFA Congress virtually on November 23rd. I saw, Alexander, that there were different kinds of demonstrations happening. Obviously, there was the Save the Caps demonstrations, but I also saw that there was labor demonstrations against FIFA. Well, what did you see?
Yeah, well, there was a whole bunch. So I didn't even catch some of those in real time. Like same as you, catching up on social media after, because in the morning when I arrived, there was a protest against the World Cup in Morocco from the SPCA. Wow. It was about animal rights and and whatnot. So that was one of them. And then obviously there was, like you mentioned, the worker rights protests, because they did that one at a hotel just a bit away from where the Congress door was. So I think they kind of knew that some of the delegates were staying there. At least from what I knew, the CAF delegates were staying at that one, and probably some others. So there was obviously that labor protest, and from what I'm mistaken, there was a few other. There was a pro-Palestinian protest as well that came in after what had happened during the event. So obviously it was a huge moment, because you looked everywhere for a few hours, and the delegates you were seeing, like, of course, Gianni Infantino, the big one, Victor Montagliani is a CONCACAF president, and FIFA VP, some of the other politicians that were kind of lingering around. The mayor of Vancouver, was there at one point and did speak. So from a political standpoint, it was obviously an event that had its spotlight on it. Let's just say, and people obviously recognized that, and then took a moment to kind of share their voice. So that was obviously a big part of it, because it's funny, like it's a football event at the end of the day, but obviously when FIFA implicates itself in a lot of these matters, it becomes a lot more than just the football. We kind of felt that today in different areas.
Yeah, it's only football, but it felt like Davos, right? Kind of thing. Like, and of course there was a couple interesting tidbits from that. Like, it felt like the gravity, like the center of gravity for all these events. So super interesting. Rob, I think you're on.
No. I mean, it like you guys said, it's just a little bit of football, just a little bit of soccer, right? But for the moment, Vancouver is one of the centers of the world. I mean, let's face it. I mean, there's a lot of things that are connected to FIFA and soccer and business and anyway. But there were a lot of, like you mentioned, dignitaries there, among them Don Garber, Gianni Infantino. We know that the Caps CEO and sporting director Axel Schuster made statements, because everything that's going on with the Caps, and I know that the mayor Ken Sim was there as well, and he spoke to media. As we go ahead and start talking about this Save the Caps movement, for any Galaxy fans that might not know, give us kind of like a primer on what this is all about, basically. Like why might the Caps have to leave Vancouver?
Well, I'll do my best to outline what we've heard so far, because that's another thing. Even just being on the ground and talking to people and hearing, it's like whack-a-mole. Like, right, every 1 hour you're hearing this statement here, this person speaks. Because obviously the Premier David Eby wasn't around, but he's been in Victoria because the not parliament, but the legislator here has been in session. So he's been speaking and having scrums after, and then you hear, go on Twitter and you're like, oh, okay, there's another comment from the premier. So for the best, I would say, is the Whitecaps are for sale, right? They've announced that since 2024. We knew that. And since they've been sale, a lot has kind of come out in terms of, okay, what does this sale mean? At first, you kind of see, is this a sale where they've been in MLS long enough and realized they want to cash out? Or is this a sale where maybe they want to, change the direction of the club, or maybe just sell a stake to help run it? Because obviously the MLS they joined 15 years ago is a lot different than the MLS today, where they paid just over 30, 40 million. All of a sudden, clubs are worth closer to $1 billion and operating a lot more. Salaries are upwards of 15 million a year. A stadium deal that might have been, everything's changed. So it wasn't clear what that was. Over the last year, it's kind of flip-flopped. Like at first it was like, okay, they kind of wanted a clean break. And then at a certain point, like, actually, we wouldn't mind staying around and with the lower stake if the right owner comes around. But what it's shown is it's clear that the Vancouver situation needs no matter what happens, for there to be a sale, the situation isn't good enough. And what I mean by that is they haven't really gotten a good stadium situation, because when they came in MLS, they're like, we're going to try to build a stadium. That's the way to go. Almost everyone in this league now has their own stadium or a situation. But for a lot of reasons, it didn't happen. Bureaucracy, other red tape got in the way, financial reasons. They never got around. Then with BC Place, they signed a long-term lease. They're like, okay, we'll kick the can down the road. Well, the can has come down the road, and now they're in a situation where BC Place isn't seen as good enough because they're not making the sort of revenue that you make when you don't own your stadium. And especially when the deal that you have with the government isn't as great as what other people are getting, because other stadiums in MLS, they're getting more money from their ticket revenues. They're getting more money from food and beverage. They have control over their dates, something else the Whitecaps didn't have. But what has also since been kind of revealed is, okay, the situation isn't great, but people are trying to fix it, and it hasn't been exactly clear what the Whitecaps want. So we're kind of stuck in this situation where the team's for sale. Everyone wants to keep it in Vancouver, ideally, but they're not the most attractive option for a sale, because obviously the valuations of clubs right now are in the upper 500, 600, 700 million. If someone's going to buy that, well, they also have to sort out the situation deal. And either you got to sweet talk the government and make something happen, which has kind of been what's been going on, or you're going to have to pony up the money. And all of a sudden, maybe what was supposed to be a $600 million deal becomes a $1 billion deal. And for a club in a Canadian market where the dollar isn't as strong as the American dollar, that's not an investment that many business people are willing to make. So it's left the Caps in a situation where they haven't been able to attract a buyer. And now when it's gone on as long as you have, all of a sudden MLS starts to table relocation propositions, because that might be the only way for this club to be sold. And that would obviously be devastating, but that's clearly where things are at.
That is devastating. That's terrible to hear. And everyone here in chat you'll find a sympathetic ear and kind of that empathy, right? Because soccer is for the people, and it would be terrible if Vancouver were to lose their team. Some of the potentials that we'll get there in a second. Let's go ahead and say, first off, thank you to eSuper1 for the super chat. He says, are Whitecaps still for sale, and what are fans in the city doing to stop or keep the team? Well, Alexander already answered the first part of the question. They are indeed for sale, still for sale. So I guess we'll get to the second part of the question. Alexander, what are the fans and the city doing to stop or keep the team?
Well, for the fans, they've obviously started to mobilize. I talked about the protest today. As you have this great shot here, this was from Saturday at BC Place, last Whitecaps game at home before the World Cup. So won't be back till August. So it was very timely. They had a big march, one of the biggest marches I've seen in years, even talking playoff and whatnot, because they got as many fans as possible. They had Save the Caps signs. They were chanting Save the Caps. They had a tifo, which we saw was obviously part one of, okay, get interest. And it's worked, because all of a sudden in 2 weeks, we're seeing Save the Caps hashtags everywhere. We're seeing it around the city. This morning, I leave my house and I walk down the block and I saw a Save the Cap sticker on one of the signs. Like there's a, mobilization is starting to happen. It made all the big news. CBC, CTV Global all of a sudden are talking about it. So that was part one, because Whitecaps fans have known the club's for sale for a while, but maybe outside in the general consciousness, it's not really been clear. So that's part one. As for the city question, that's where things are unique, because we talked about Ken Sim earlier. It's a very interesting time because he is up for re-election at the end of this year. So he's obviously pushing to get this over a line because it's a very hot topic issue and would make him very popular if he was involved to helping save the Caps. But he also does love soccer. Like, he was at the 22 World Cup. He went to MLS Cup final year. He does like the sport. But from his perspective, what we've seen is he signed an MOU, a memorandum of understanding with the Whitecaps, where they have a year of negotiations with a potential site about half an hour outside the city, just on the cusp of Vancouver and Burnaby, one of the suburbs, to potentially build the stadium. And he's also been very vocal about trying to facilitate negotiations, because that land in theory could work, but there are some worries about the location, the feasibility. Of course, you can have the land, but it's going to cost a lot of money to build the stadium, like I mentioned earlier. But that's what he's done. Otherwise, the big sticking point is BC Place, because there's a world where BC Place could be an excellent home for the Whitecaps. But as it stands, the provincial government operates it, which is very unique. It's not something you see a whole lot anywhere in the world, at least not in North America, where it's usually privately owned or something of the sort. And that's been the other point of contention, because, okay, either they have to figure something out at Hastings, where this land is, or figure something out at BC Place. And the government has done what they can for now in terms of they softened the agreement and they made it so that the Whitecaps get more, but they haven't sold naming rights, and they could do something like give up the operating rights to the Whitecaps and say, okay, as long as you give us a fee that matches what we're making now, go operate it. So right now, that's kind of where we're at, where the city has offered this potential land and the Whitecaps are trying to negotiate that. And there's also the ongoing negotiations with BC Place to see if that can be a potential solution.
God damn, I love a good story. This is juicy right here. This is all good stuff right here.
Can I add a little detail to the juice, and Alexander, you can confirm this or not, but the other thing that's interesting about the mayor is all these other conversations happening with potentially them bringing in a baseball team, right? An MLB expansion team. So it's like, it's interesting that it's kind of like speaking out of both sides of their mouths a little bit, because now you have this other thing. It's like, why are you interested in bringing in an MLB expansion team when you have this other team that has such a passionate fan base? I mean, a team that has been a part of the fabric of the community since 1974. But yet you have this other thing going on. So I thought, when I heard that little detail, I thought that was very interesting to muddy the waters even more, right? That's super interesting, Rob.
Nah, I mean, there's a lot of facets to this. And then, like I said, I love a juicy story. And there's even more facets of this, right? Because, I mean, now we're talking about government officials and heads of state. I mean, Alexander alluded to it earlier. The British Columbia Premier, David Eby, went on record and said the Whitecaps are British Columbia, and I want you to know that we are at the table fighting hard to save the Whitecaps, to which Commissioner Don Garber responded on Twitter, liar, liar, pants on fire. And then he said that his account was compromised. And to be fair to Don, that's very likely the story, because at his level, he probably doesn't operate his own socials. So yeah, I buy it. We've also met, Ananda and I have also met Executive VP of Communications, Dan Kadramashu, who handles communications for MLS, and Don Garber. And, he also posted several times and went on record and said that Garber's socials had been hacked. In fact, I guess he was at a dinner with the U.S. Soccer president and U.S. Soccer CEO when he was made aware that he was making fun of, the premier on the socials. And so, there's that facet to all this as well. Then you have a an ownership group that is offering to buy the Caps, that wants to buy the Caps, but they want to move them to Las Vegas. There are also other options that include Phoenix, Indianapolis, and Sacramento, but thus far, this bid by Grant Gustafson is the most credible at the moment. I mean, these folk got stupid money, y'all, stupid money, and I mean, they can afford it. I mean, just like outright. I mean, if MLS really wanted to, and you know, they weren't afraid of the ire of Vancouver people, they would say, like, let's just take the money and move them. But like, you know, they know what kind of backlash that'll get. So what is, I don't know, Alexander, what is the perception of this ownership group? You know, because on one hand, you know, they're you know, like, hey, we want to buy the team and you know, like, save the team, but they're also not keeping them in Vancouver. Like, what are people saying about this potential sale?
Oh, this would be a no-go for fans. That was immediately clear. Like, this is worst case scenario, because that's what you don't want, right? You don't want the Grizzlies again. You don't want an ownership to come in and buy it, move it away. So yeah, this was worst case scenario. It'll be very interesting to see where this goes, because with the story, I mean, I no doubt it's credible. It's come out through two very reputable sources, right? In the Athletic and Sportico. But we don't know, is this, you know, an angle from the group itself, kind of being like, we put in a bid, kind of talk about this, or is this from the league? I have a feeling it's maybe a bit more from the group itself, because it is worth noting that with the sort of money we're talking about here, this kind of group could afford expansion. And that's another thing to talk about in this whole thing is what makes most sense for MLS, because that's another thing that ties into it, that clearly, and I think this is where the toughest disconnect has been with the way that franchise valuations work in this league, where they've been very heavily inflated by expansion fees. No one really knows how much anything is worth anymore, because Sporting Kansas City was somehow, some way, and like it's a historic club, right? I have no knock on Sporting Kansas City whatsoever. They got their own stadium. It's a historic club. They've got a good thing going on. But they were sold with a stake that was valued at almost $800 million, which for me feels wild. That just feels wild, because that's the kind of, like, you're talking about top 5 leagues in the world type valuations. Like, that's
blood. Newcastle was sold for like 350 million or some shit like that, bro.
Exactly.
Like,
that's a club with the hundreds of years of history, and it's playing in the top flight in England. But I think that's when one of the issues has been, where obviously if you're going to sell the Whitecaps, that's the value that's been set. Even as one of your commentators mentioned there that I picked up, which is very smart and astute, San Diego came in for a few years ago at 500 million.
Right.
That kind of sets the bar. You don't want to be selling a team at less than that at the bare minimum, because what does that show to prospective owners like this potential Grant Gustafson of, okay, well, the Whitecaps are worth less than that, sell them. No, they can't do that. And I think that's also been a challenge, and why the Whitecaps themselves have said there's been over 100 groups interested, but none have bought. There's this interesting situation where I don't know if the actual group or the actual Whitecaps sale is worth as much as MLS wants it to be. So that leaves in a situation where the most viable option for an outside perspective is an offer like this, where they come in and buy it. But that's why I think for MLS, I wonder, and again, this is where I kind of go to speculation versus fact, is I wonder if they want a group like this to expand and pay an expansion fee, and then they work something out with the Whitecaps where they help sort out a situation deal. That's probably why Don Garber met with David Eby, to really push on that, and then keep the Whitecaps in the league. But that's ideal situation. As we know, sometimes in the sport, ideal does not mean realistic or something that can actually happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So who let the Whitecaps down? Like, who should fans be mad at? The city, the owners, the league, Don Garber?
So can I say a little of each, right? Like, I think everyone can kind of shoulder their blame, because I mean, the Whitecaps first and foremost, because if you're looking at that perspective, like, man, did they maybe miss an opportunity to build the stadium all these years ago, and this would have been avoided? Because yes, they really faced some red tape, but you know, could there have been other avenues they explored, or did they just kind of be like, okay, we got this BC Place situation, of course you can't. Well, that's it. They were happy, but I guess on one hand, you could say maybe they didn't see a world where all of a sudden Lionel Messi was playing in this league, the expansion fees would skyrocket. Like there's that side of it. But clearly the ownership is one, especially because we don't hear a lot from them in Vancouver. So there's kind of this added frustration, for example, in this whole situation. We don't know what their perspective is on this. Like, are they going to, how do they feel about a sale? But that we'll see how that goes. And then MLS is obviously a big one because, as I mentioned earlier, I think the way the franchise values have been set out have really made a sale harder than it should be, at least in terms of keeping the Whitecaps in Vancouver. So there's frustration there. And then there's also frustration at the city and provincial government because could the provincial government have done more to help facilitate building a stadium or the BC Place situation? And of course, could the mayor have done the same? So I think blame kind of goes around right now, and we'll see if that changes, because that's also based on the fact that we don't really know the full behind the scenes quite yet, or at least it hasn't come out to the way that everyone wants. But that's the kind of way I see it. And you can see it from fans. Like, they're just kind of pissed at everyone. They just want this to be resolved.
They just want to. We talk about the pitchforks all the time on the show here, and they just want to bring out the pitchforks on someone right now and lead a revolt. Here's a question for you, man. What happens? Say they come to a deal to keep the Caps in Vancouver, and I think you called the site Hastings, where the new stadium would be, right? They would still have to build that stadium, right? But so, how many years is that going to take it, and where do they play until then? Like, what happens in the immediate aftermath of a struck deal?
Well, that's why I've said, since this has come out, BC Place is going to be relevant one way or another, because with how things work here, I say if they put a shovel in the ground tomorrow at Hastings, I can't see a game being played there. We're 2026. I'd struggle to see one this decade, maybe 2029. Wow. Things are just a little slower. It's not going to be a Miami situation where they somehow had that new stadium built in 12, 14 months, whatever, or 24 months. So you're at least going to need 2 or 3 more seasons of BC Place. So BC Place remains very key in all this. And I think that's why there's been a lot of pressure on them, is they can't make a clean break from them. They need to be involved somewhere or another. And whether that's just ditching the Hastings plan and staying with BC Place forever with the new renegotiated deal, or a situation where the Whitecaps take over, or you're going to have a bridge deal where you're at BC Place for a few more years and then you leave to this new park. And maybe you keep an arrangement where if playoff games or big games, you move to BC Place, because it obviously will have more attendance. This Hastings Stadium will probably be a 25, 30,000 seater. So BC Place is going to be key in this, no matter what happens, whether a stadium deal is struck, if the Whitecaps are to stay in Vancouver. So I think that's why there's been a lot of pressure on them.
Well, and Rob, BC Place is going to be key to this, because it's going to stage the biggest tournament in this sport this summer. And so this is one to follow for sure for everyone listening in chat, because what kind of effect now does that tournament have, right? Will it have a positive or negative effect? Because you could see both sides of it. And so just the backdrop of this situation in light of the World Cup happening in Vancouver, super interesting, very interesting.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're probably going to be bugging you hey, Alexander, what's going on, man? What's the latest cheese man? Because everyone knows, man, I love a good story. I love a good cheese man. And this has got all of it, man. I mean, it has political intrigue. It has plata. It has money. It has soccer. I mean, this is a Netflix series, dog. You better start writing, Papa.
Well, that's it. I mean, hey, all I'll say for that as the last word is, well, hosting a World Cup is supposed to be a legacy, defining event. It's supposed to be an event that leaves tangible, incredible infrastructure, tangible effects in the future. If there's a situation where BC hosts this tournament, hopefully it will go great. It goes well, but then you lose a key institution in the city, or at least, it leaves with an MLS, that'll be a disaster. So obviously I think that's an added pressure, that if you did all this work to bring the World Cup in, at least you want to see tangible legacy left behind. And the Whitecaps are obviously a big part of the sporting landscape in the city, and hopefully will remain so for years and decades to come.
Yeah, that'd be a crazy reward for doing the World Cup there, is that your team leaves. That would That'd be terrible. Last question on this one, man, and then we'll actually talk a little bit about things on the field. Galaxy fans haven't been having the greatest time of on the field. The Galaxy just got a win, and that's great for them, but they haven't been doing as well as the Whitecaps, right? But a lot of news broke this week surrounding the team and their future. So will the backdrop of any of that news or any of the volatility around maybe potential relocation affect the team at all? I mean, can Galaxy fans think like positively, like, oh man, their mentals are all thrown off about everything that's happening, and they're not going to put in a performance on the pitch? Is that just like wishful thinking?
Based on what we've seen, no. Yes, I think it is wishful thinking, as in I don't think it'll affect this team. Like, this is a team that, with the backdrop of last season and the club being for sale, they made 2 major finals, and we're inches away from winning a treble in a different world. They could have won a Shield, a Champions Cup, and an MLS Cup. But it is something worth watching. At the same time, the timing has helped the team, because with the FIFA Congress being in town, training maybe hasn't had a biggest scrutiny. Like, players aren't getting asked, like, what have you made of all this? Because everyone's obviously been descending on downtown Vancouver for the Congress. So they've had a little bit more peace and quiet maybe at UBC to train. And even this week, they trained on one of the new World Cup training facilities. So I guess that was a bit of a cool side note for them to do that. So I don't think so. Plus, this is a team led by Thomas Müller. If we're going to say anything about him, he's famously one not to get distracted by much, and to kind of just keep his head focused. And that's kind of this team, like, throughout all this, even on the weekend when it was a very emotional game with against the Rapids, with the fans, with them kind of marching, instead of being dragged down by it, they kind of fed off it. And that's kind of been the story of it. So I think for the Galaxy, I would just, obviously it can be a winnable game. I remember the last year the Whitecaps lost away to the Galaxy, but just don't expect a weakened version. I'd expect still the strongest version of this team.
Oh, Alexander, I don't know if you remember, but last year I don't think Berhalter was playing. I don't think White was playing.
Yeah.
So there was yeah. So there was a lot more hope then for Galaxy fans. But let's look at the tail of the tape. The Galaxy and Vancouver have played each other 36 times in league play. The Galaxy hold a 17-12-7 all-time edge and hold a 12-4-3 record at home. Last year, the Whitecaps beat the Galaxy 2-1 in Vancouver in March, and then the Galaxy returned the favor 3-0 at the Digs, just like Alexander talked about. And the Galaxy have won 13 of 21 home meetings with Vancouver, including that 3-0 win. And Vancouver last beat the Galaxy in Los Angeles in July of 2023 in the Leagues Cup. I'd have to check for you guys on when the last time was in the league. But, that's ancient history. Like, where are we right now? Well, we already told you guys that the Galaxy are in 10th place after 10 games on 12 points, 1.2 points per game, 3-4-3 record, 15 goals for, 16 goals against, -1 goal differential. And they have not kept a clean sheet in 8 straight matches. Vancouver, on the other hand, man, it's I get so jealous, Galaxy fans. They've played 9 games, second in the West, 24 points, 2.67 points per game. Yes, that's per game. Suns, 8-1-0 record, 25 goals for, 5 goals against. Yes, they've only given up 5 goals all season. That's not 5 goals in one game. That's 5 goals all season, ladies and gentlemen. Plus 20 goal differential, 4 straight wins. Where they've scored multiple goals of 3-1 over Colorado, 3-0 over SKC, 2-0 over NYCFC, 3-2 over Portland. Only 1 goal conceded in the last 3 matches. One of the highlights of the season so far for them has been beating Minnesota 6-0. And then, as Galaxy fans all know, Minnesota beat the Galaxy. They're averaging 2.8 goals per match this season. Second team in MLS history to score at least 22 goals within the first 8 games of a season. I just gave you a litany of highlights, Alexander. What for you has been the difference for this Whitecaps team? Like, what has made them so good? Anything that I said here, or is there something else that you're noticing?
No, I think there's a lot of good pointed out. Obviously, it's remarkable how complete this team is, right? Because you can kind of look at the stats and you can gas up the attack and be like, man, this team can score for fun. They've got, difference makers. Or you could look at the defense. Like, it's been iron solid. It's not leaky. They've got a good system. What I would say is we've seen how high this team's floor is. And I think that's interesting because they have a high ceiling, no doubt. Any team that has the pieces they do with Thomas Müller, Brian White, some of the wingers they've brought in, Sebastian Berhalter and the level he's been now. We haven't even seen Ryan Gauld. Like, there was a once upon a time where Ryan Gauld, if he wasn't on the pitch, the Whitecaps were useless. And now he's been out for parts of a year, and they've been rolling on without him. But the floor for me, because throughout these first 9 games, they haven't actually, they've obviously been very good, but there's been moments of struggle. There's been moments where they haven't been as good, but with the way they're set up to control games in possession, to defend, to be tough to play against, they don't give up much. They don't give up many cheap goals. They don't, there's not a lot of self-sabotage. So I'd say the floor is very high because there were games you leave BC Place. So obviously it has helped, and I'll acknowledge, and that's something to watch. 8 of their first 9 games have been at BC Place. So MLS is still a home skewed league, but there's been a lot of times leaving BC Place where you're like, man, they didn't even play that well relative to their standards, and they kind of comfortably cruise to win. And then when they do play well, you leave like, okay, wow, okay, you can see what this team has done. But I think that's where the floor comes in. There's no volatility there. They show up each week. They're tough to play against, and it really takes the perfect game to beat them. And that's what San Jose got. Like, San Jose, the Whitecaps just couldn't score in that half. San Jose scored a banger, and then they parked the bus and they prayed, and the Whitecaps came close. They almost, they hit a woodwork. They were pushing, but that's kind of what it's taken to beat the Whitecaps, a perfect performance. And so far, San Jose was the only team they have it in league play, and the Seattle Sounders were the only other team in CONCACAF. Obviously, that was a very frustrating loss for the Whitecaps to lose against their rivals.
Yeah, two words for you on the San Jose one, man. Bruce Arena. That's all I can say.
Man,
one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah, still good.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that so many different players on this Whitecaps team have contributed. I think I read a stat that 10 different players have scored, and yeah, Brian White is has 8 goals, I believe, but a lot of different players are stepping up, including new players. My paisan Caicedo has looked a beast since he's touched down there in Vancouver. And yeah, man, I mean, it's interesting that so many players are stepping up, but like you said, if it's not the offense, it's the defense doing work, right? Who's for you the most underrated member of this team?
Oh, that's a tough question. You could pick a few. I think underrated, my gut feeling would be for someone like Matias Laborda. I mean, he was nominated for MLS Player of the Month this month, so clearly his performances didn't go under the radar. But what he does defensively, aerially, set pieces too. You see 2 goals and 2 assists playing center back already through 9 games is no joke. Like, he does so much for the team.
Higher
Sometimes
production than Gabby Peck.
Wild considering Peck's pedigree, but Laborda too, sometimes center back, sometimes fullback too. So like, he's also shifted all over the field depending on who's available and just does you a job. I think he's got to be the one. If not the other one, I'll shout out to, I'll permit myself, it's Andres Cubas, right? Because everyone talks about Berhalter. He's no secret. He's American. Maybe if he was Canadian, he'd be underrated, but he's American. People know about him. He plays for the U.S. men's national team. Müller, White, everyone knows, but Cubas doesn't actually get talked about, considering he's a top 3 DM in MLS for me, just because when he's on the field, it actually completely changes the way the Whitecaps were able to play. This past weekend, Colorado scored. That was the first time in over like 700 or 800 minutes this season that the Whitecaps have been scored on with Cubas on the field. When they lost 4-0 or whatever it was in aggregate, 4-1 on aggregate to the Sounders, Cubas was suspended for 1 leg and injured in the other game. When he's on the field, he completely tilts it because he is so good defensively that all of a sudden the wingers don't have to track back as much because he's winning these balls in transition he has no business winning. All of a sudden Berhalter can kind of have the freedom to go. And when he's not on the field, the balance changes. So Andres Cubas is one where, as you see, 1 assist, he's not going to show up in the score sheets, but watch him play. Some of the tackles he makes to save the Whitecaps in transition, it is really game changing.
He does all the dirty, basically.
100%.
Man, yeah, those are the glue guys, right? The guys that keep everything ticking over. You talked about Sorensen, right? And what he's been able to do. He has Vancouver on a record-setting pace. With this pace that they're setting, do you maybe have a worry that they're peaking too soon?
Well, that's always a worry. It's always a worry, right? Like, you start hot, can you maintain it? You're about to play a bunch of games away. You can have a World Cup break that can derail all your momentum, right? Because all of a sudden you're watching at home for a while and you come back. What are you going to look like? Are guys going to be transferred off the back of a good World Cup? Is your squad going to change? But what's nice with him, and I think what's been the real fascinating part, this team looks like a Jesper Sorensen team no matter who's in the lineup. Obviously, there's some guys, like I mentioned, when Kubas is out the lineup, it changes a little bit. If Berhalter's not in, it's different. Müller, White, etc. But for the most part, this team can plug guys in and still remain true to their principles. And I think that's been the most fascinating thing, that Ralph Priso's turned into a legitimately good center back when this guy 2 years ago couldn't even make it in MLS as a midfielder. And you go around the horn. There's all these stories of guys coming in. Jeevan Badwal has been one of the stories of this year, an academy kid, 19-year-old, a rare BC born guy too, because some of the best Whitecaps academy products haven't been local guys. And Sorensen has made him functional. So I think his biggest weapon is, for whatever reason, he knows how to take all these guys, especially these youngsters, and finds a way to fit them in the system and keep the system ticking. So that for me is encouraging, that even if there's injuries, even if there's departures, there's no reason why the Whitecaps can't keep humming away the way they are, although it will be very hard for them to maintain this pace. But hey, the nice thing about banking all these points early is even if you drop off a bit in the summer and you finish strong, I think they're definitely in a position to push for a shield.
Yeah, they're banking a couple right now. So you did mention injuries. Who is out for the Whitecaps?
Well, right now, obviously, Reingold's the big one. It's been a minute. Looks like maybe we'll see him just before the World Cup break, definitely after, obviously, coming off surgery. Ralph Priso suffered a hamstring injury, although he's been ahead of schedule, not this week, but I think he'll be back sooner. It was 4 to 6 weeks. Maybe that'll be more of a 4 weeks. And otherwise, the two big guys missing there, Bilal Halbouni, Sebastian Schonlau, mostly depth pieces. But Ranko Veselinovic and Sam Adekugbe were out for a long time. Adekugbe had an Achilles injury, Veselinovic an ACL. Both came back. Veselinovic was on the bench last week, and both played for the second team. So they're still weeks away from starting, but that's huge news because that's two big reinforcements to the backline, a Canadian international and a guy in Veselinovic who was having a fantastic season last year. So the Whitecaps are slowly getting healthier, which is not bad considering where they're at in the table.
The rich get richer, while the Galaxy, meanwhile, well, let's give you guys that injury report. Yoshida is questionable. Obviously, Eric Tommy and Nascimento are out. João Klaus out. And the only good news on here is that Jakob Glesnes is available. And according to Josh Gussman, there are no minutes restrictions here. If you had to guess at a starting lineup, Alexander, what would it be?
Yeah, for the Whitecaps, I mean, they've got a busy schedule coming up, but I think they're just going to keep rolling with what's working. Like Yohei Takok is going to play in goal. The back four will probably, have Laborda, Matthias Laborda, Tristan Blackman, center backs. Tate Johnson's had a fantastic game last week. Him and Eddie Ocampo will be the fullbacks. Sebastian Berhalter, Andres Cubas going to play in the six. We're going to see Thomas Müller for the first time against the Galaxy. I guess we have to remember he joined after the last game that they played last year. He'll play the 10. On the wing, I foresee a Jeevan Badwal start. He came in off the bench last week and put in a good shift. So that probably leaves Cher Sabali's quietly been having a good performance. It'll be him or Sabi. based on form, it's probably Sabali, although, you know, we'll see if he ends up starting over Sabi, and then Brian White will lead the line. So I don't foresee many changes, maybe one from the group ahead, and then we'll see a lot more rotation as this busy pre-World Cup schedule hits in.
Anandita, what do you got for us on your starting lineup?
Well, our starting lineup. So this is our predicted 11 because it's pretty much the same. But with all the injuries,
we did the same thing.
With all the injuries, I feel like it kind of selects itself, which is very similar to what Greg went with last time. Now, the only doubts are if Yoshida is questionable and he's out, you can replace him with Emilio Garces, of course. But with all the injuries, Rob, and I'll read it, or for the audio listeners, I'll read it out loud. It's JT in goal, back four of John Nelson, Maya Yoshida, Jakob Glesnes, and Mauricio Cuevas. In midfield three of Justin Hack, Lucas Sanabria in the double pivot, along with Marco Reus. And then a front three, same one as last time, Harbor Mill on the left, JP at number 9, and Peck at right wing, because there are no other options. We have no recognized striker. So JP has to play number 9. So, you know, Vancouver, the rich get richer. Well, the Galaxy, the poor get even poorer in this particular case. But the only other question mark I guess I have is Edwin Cedillo. I don't know what his status is, and maybe Greg doesn't want to risk it based off of what happened last game. It was kind of subbing the sub, unfortunately. But I think this is gonna stay. I think this is gonna be it. And the only other change that I would see, I don't know if Greg would start with this, but we can see this, which is taking out a guy like Harbor Miller if he sees that the midfield battle, the Galaxy are losing, and I can see that because of the fantastic midfield trio that that Vancouver Whitecaps have. He might want to, you know, throw in a guy like either Cerrillo or Winder just to beef up that midfield, because I can just see the Galaxy losing a lot of duels. And Kubas and Berhalter are both duel monsters. And Greg's been talking about a lot the last couple of weeks, which is the incapacity or the inconsistency with the Galaxy winning their individual duels. And boy, do they have a tough test against that midfield three of Vancouver.
You know what's crazy though is that Vancouver's midfield is baller, but they got a guy leading the line that is challenging for the Golden Boot, and we haven't even really talked about this full yet. Like, he's gonna give the Galaxy fits, and like we've mentioned him like once or twice. Like I feel like we've talked about Ryan Gauld more, and then Brian White. This cat has 8 goals, and you know he's playing for an outside shot at the World Cup. You know it's not out of the question, but you know he's been pretty consistent so far. 4 team of the match day selections. Alexander, what's got him so hot right now?
Yeah, I think he's just getting in such good spots, because the funny thing is, watching him, he's not been that efficient. Like there was one game that was almost comical in New York City, I think it was. He scored, did his job. He had 11 shots on that game, and he probably could have scored 5. But he gets his goal. He add it to the tally. Last week he was a lot more efficient against the Rapids, gets 2. But the reality is he's proven to be a perfect fit right now, because some of the chances he's getting on the runs, he's making, the work he's doing. As a striker, sometimes it's all about repeatable actions, consistently getting the right areas. And if you miss one, then forget about it. And he's had that real good mindset that even if he's had a good game or a bad game, he's getting those chances. And as a striker, as we know, it's better to be shooting more. It's better to be getting it. You don't want to lose confidence, right? You don't want to be going 0 for 2. If you'd rather go 0 for 10, knowing that the next game, if I keep getting those spots, I'm going to get it. So no, I think his consistency has really helped him, even when he's had hot and cold games, because that's Brian White, right? Like he's always been a bit of a hot and cold striker, but the way his game has grown, so that every game, even if it's bad or good, he's giving you more in the hold up. He's giving you those chances, has really helped him be a lot more consistent around goal as well.
So what you're saying is, even if he plays badly, Galaxy defense is probably still going to have a really terrible time with him.
Well, he's helping the team a lot more, right? You know, some strikers, when they have a bad game, it's like sub him out, get him out. Like, I don't want to see this guy ever again. White's done a good job of, even when he has a bad game, Jesper Sorensen struggles to sub him out. And it's tough because the Whitecaps have a very promising young striker in Ray Alumi, who they want to play more. Like they've been talking him up ever since the start of the season, and he's struggle to get minutes because you can't really take White off the field for the work he does, good or bad. So I think that's what it say. No matter how he plays, he'll be consistent. He'll be a bit of a thorn in the side.
All right, Cuneros, let's start winding this one down. But before we do, you know what time it is. It is receipts time. So start throwing those predictions in the chat. Let us know who you think is going to win this match, the Galaxy versus Vancouver here in Los Angeles on Saturday. Let us know your score predictions and who will win. But before we get there with Alexander, we're going to ask him the first of the receipt questions, which is for Vancouver. Oh, I'm sorry. I should preface. This is fill in the blank. So, you know, there's going to be a ... at the end, and then you fill it in with whatever you want. For Vancouver to win this match over the Galaxy, they have to ...
Okay. So, well, to hop in for Vancouver to win the match, I think just, you know, let's say big Brian White game. They need a big Brian White game. Just keep him going, get a couple goals, because for better for worse, now that you're away from home, you maybe lose a bit of the control you have. You're going to need your striker to finish the chances that you get. The Whitecaps are going to create some. So let's say it hinges on Brian White putting in a good game, because I think the rest we can expect. They're going to need the goals.
Nandita, we'll go to you. For the Galaxy to win this match, they have to, well, besides pray, they have to ...
Besides pray. Yeah, fair enough. So I'm going to repeat what I shameless plug for when we went on the boys from COC Network. So go ahead and check out that video on their channel. But I'm going to be consistent, Rob, which on that show I said the Galaxy have to score first, because the Galaxy are, I believe, well, definitely they have not lost when they have scored first this season, because they've only scored 4 times, and I believe they're 3-1-0. So they have to score first. And the second thing is, they're not going to win the midfield battle, in my opinion. I don't think they are. But they have to limit that midfield as much as possible, because the more that the Vancouver midfield controls this match and pressures the Galaxy, whether that's into mistakes or getting stuck in and winning the ball high up the pitch, those high turnovers, the Galaxy are going to be in trouble, because it's going to be waves after wave after wave of pressure. And you know, this Galaxy defense, Papa, hasn't been executing at all. There's been a lot of mental lapses. There's been individual mistakes. So neutralizing that midfield, whatever that game plan is going to go a long way, because we're going to lose the midfield battle. But the question is, how do you just neutralize them in the right moments? Guys like Lucas Sanabria, Justin Hack, their physicality, their ability to win balls in the midfield are going to be a huge factor in that. So it's going to be interesting to see how Greg sets up. And you know what? He better be ready for a game where it's not going to be Vanny ball. Not going to be a lot of possession for the LA Galaxy, because Vancouver is going to control the tempo. So then the question is, how do you keep Vancouver honest on the other side? Have him look over the shoulder with the speed of Joseph Paintsel, Gabriel Peck. That will be an interesting thing to watch in this match.
All right, I'll hit you with mine, and mine is simple. For the Galaxy to win this match, they have to play free. They're the underdog. Yeah. Everybody knows it. Let's be honest. And so there's no weight of expectation on them. Go out there, have fun, play your soccer. You have quality players on the pitch. It's not like you can't nick a goal. You can't play with this team. They've shown they can play with anybody on their day. So, yeah, go out there and have fun, and maybe surprise your fans, surprise yourselves. I think it's doable. Ananda, I know that you and Dr. Raquinho went and played some pickleball, and then afterwards had some cucumber sandwiches. You guys worked on win probabilities. What do you got?
You're so wild with the... Anyways, yes, win probabilities. So, guys, remember that the Galaxy is the home team in this case. I know it's a little hard to see there on the top right, but the Whitecaps, 43% chance as the road team of winning, and the Galaxy they have as 32. And this is so interesting because, again, the Galaxy are the home team. I'm going to remind you guys again. The Galaxy are the home team, and they have a lower win probability than the Vancouver Whitecaps. And then just a couple of things there in the chat, or for the pre-match insights, for chat to make their predictions if they have not yet. But I know you guys are definitely going wild in there and going ham. Joao Klaus, who the Galaxy will not have, has scored in 40% of MLS games this season. So again, the Galaxy have to find a different way in the attack. Lately, it's been Marco Reus. And there have been 3 or more goals scored in each of the LA Galaxy's 7 games. So 0-0 is definitely not in the cards for this one.
Oh no, I'm not seeing a 0-0 at all, man. But we'll get there. Let's go ahead and give Alexander the choice. Since he's our guest, would you like to go first on prediction, or would you like to go last?
Well, with predictions, you got to live or die by it. I'll go first. Why not? You throw me the pressure. I may as well get it out the way. I mean, I think this team's in good form. I think they're doing well. I'm expecting something along the lines of a 2-1 road win. Like, it's not going to be, I don't think they're going to go and dismantle the Galaxy. They've always historically had a tough time in LA, even last year, like we saw, but they're doing well. Their lineup looks good. They're doing a lot of the good things. Get a comfortable win and just kind of keep on stacking up points.
Well, there we go. We have a 2-1 Whitecaps win for Alexander. Then we will go to chat. Chat, what do you got for us? We have first one here. 2-2 by Just Anthony. All right, we got a point in a tie. And E Super One says 3-1 Caps. Jeez. Okay. We have Nightmare 0-4 Caps. He says traffic cone number 2 with a hat trick. Traffic cone number 7 with the header goal from a corner. Dang, optimistic. Joe 13 Cool says 3-2 Galaxy. Peck brace. Oh man, that's different. Big. That'd be big. Oh, and we have Major League Sounds up in the place. What up? Tom Tremblay. What up, Papa? Says 3-2 Galaxy, shock win. See you guys on Saturday. So we have a mix. We have a mix, Ananda, of Cuneros. I think it's going to be a Whitecaps win. Some Galaxy fans will never let go of that hope and say it's a Galaxy win. Since I went first on my predictions last time, that means it's your turn to go first. So,
well, hold on. Let me finish these other ones from chat. So,
my bad.
Rima Matthew says 2-2 trap game for Vancouver. Trap game for Vancouver, and they still only pull out a draw. That's wild. Not even a win. 3-2.
Not even a win.
Last minute goal. Yeah, I'm gonna be consistent. I said this on the last show, and I just can't see, like, my starting point is the following, which is I can't see the Galaxy limit Vancouver to just 1 goal. I feel like the Vancouver are going to score 2, maybe 3 goals. So if that's my starting point, I mean, my head pick says maybe 2-2 at best, but I just think this is going to be like a 3-1 win for the Whitecaps. And to be honest with you, I don't know why I feel this way. Like, I feel like the Whitecaps, maybe like the Colorado game that they had at BC Place, not even going to get out of second or third gear. I mean, honestly, I feel like the midfield, like Vancouver's midfield, is just going to completely dominate the LA Galaxies. And no matter what they do, like, there's going to be a lot of high turnovers. There's going to be a lot of pressure. The Galaxy might, nick one. Like, so it might go the way how the Dallas game went, Columbus Crew, where the Galaxy were just outplayed for most of that match. And then they try to storm back late, but it was just too little too late. I feel like it's going to have that result. So again, heart pick, I'm going to sit on the fence. Heart pick is like a draw, but I think this is a Galaxy L. I think just too much quality. I just can't get that out of my head. Even I think it would be a surprise result for the Galaxy to win, in my opinion.
I'm going to stay consistent too, and hope springs eternal. And I think it's going to be that 2-2 draw. I think there will be goals. I think the Galaxy will find goals themselves. And at the end of the day, like the chat says, it's going to be a trap tie. A trap tie. And it'll be 2-2. And honestly, like, that's really good for the Galaxy right now, man, because they're just trying to, like, get consistent. And any other time I'd be like, no, you have to win at home. Like, what are we talking about, right? But yeah, there's just like such a different level of form right now that, like, showing themselves like, yeah, we can play with basically the best team in the league would do loads for their mentals. So that's me. 2-2. Alexander's calling Whitecaps win. Nanda's calling Whitecaps win. I'm calling a Galaxy and Whitecaps tie. Alexander, before we let you go, last and final question for you. Where can we find you? Where can we find your coverage? And, maybe just a wild card question here, because we are starting to get to World Cup time. Who's your World Cup pick? And you can pick Canada if you want.
Okay, well, that's fun. I mean, I'll just say you can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky, mostly Alex Gangue-Ruzic, Instagram as well. Adrian the Case. That's where you can find me. One Soccer is where I do a lot of my writing these days. But World Cup, it's good. That's a good question. If I was going to go a heart pick, I always say, because I'm half Senegalese. After winning the AFCON, I know there's some debate about whether or not the legitimacy of that. I'm gonna until the trophy's taken away. Senegal is definitely a team to watch. But no, looking at all of it, I can't pick against France right now. Like the fact that they could start a front four of Cherki, Elise, Dembele, and Mbappe, and then off the bench. Well, Ekitike is injured, but they still got all these riches of depth guys coming on. I think it's got to be France, but we'll see if that ends up being proven right.
Well, that's not a bad shout, not at all. Man, we thank you so much for being here. Please don't let it be another 2 years before you come and hang out with us. We definitely enjoyed our time. I mean, guys, Guneros, I'm sure you noticed this man knows ball. For anything related to Canadian soccer, you know where to find him. He is the source for it. So go ahead and connect with them for any coverage on the national team, for Whitecaps coverage. Go ahead and hit Alexander up. And please, Papa, like I said, don't be a stranger. Thank you so much. Hopefully we'll catch up soon.
Oh, for sure. Thanks, guys. A pleasure. Always good.
Thanks so much, man. Have a good night.
Thank you, brother. Stay safe out there.
Thanks to the chat as well. You guys were funny today.
Yeah, chat's always good, man. Chat's always good.
Oh, they are always on, and we love them.
Yep. Yes, sir. All right. Have a good night. Thanks for joining us,
man.
Yep.
Peace. Guys,
he's by the way, he's very good, especially if you guys want to read his coverage on like the Whitecaps situation, obviously everything that happened with FIFA. Go give him a follow, man. That he's obviously very knowledgeable about the situation. He's boots on the ground. I thought that was very insightful. I even learned a ton of things he broke down the situation. By the way, guys, if you did join late, rewind to about 20 minutes or so into the podcast. I'll have chapter markers set up tomorrow as well. But yeah, Alex pretty much, broke it down, soup to nuts in terms of both situations, what happened in FIFA and also the Whitecap situation and the sale and all the different parties involved, like not only the team, but the potential buyers, the league, the bureaucracy, the government, so many things going on.
Like the side stories, man. Like, I didn't know that about the mayor. Like that adds like a whole nother level to it, man. It's like, yo, son, I need that re-election, dog. Like,
oh yeah, that too. And the MLB thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, like both of them just add like a whole nother layer. The fact that like, you have a site ready to build on and you're just like, there's this bureaucratic red tape that's getting in the way. And then finally, like BC Place, it's your home. It's your spiritual home. Like you've had wonderful moments there. And it's like, man, I just hope for the Whitecaps fans, they get what they want, and that's keeping the Whitecaps in Vancouver. We will be sending them our bestest of vibes, and I know that Galaxy fans will be doing the same. But Ananda, I think it's time for us to get out of here. I mean, we pretty much said it all. So next on this humble little podcast called Lacuna Galaxiana, the Galaxy face off against Vancouver, which we've been talking about pretty much all night, at the Digs on Saturday. So that means we'll have a match reaction for you for the Galaxy versus the Caps on Monday, May 4th. I believe we have a guest locked in, Ananda. You will get a clue right now, and let's see if you can get it. He has recently spat with a public personality, but no, I don't think that's accurate. He recently gained the attention of a public personality.
No, there you go. Okay.
Well,
okay.
We'll let you we'll let you ruminate on that. And
yeah, I'll keep it close to the vest. I think
chat.
I know what you're talking about. But yeah, well, actually, and then he might be your co-host, right? Because I don't even know if I'm going to make it on Monday, Papa. So yeah, so we'll
absolutely.
So
All
he
right.
might be your co-host. So anyways, yeah, I'm off jet setting again. But one last thing I wanted to say about this too before we say everyone good night and all that stuff. So I think this is a huge game for the Galaxy team this month and really the next 3, because the next 2, if I pull up the schedule, are against struggling teams away from home. So like, yes, you see them as road games, they look tough, but those are all winnable games. And so what you want is a good send-off, right? Now it's not going to be easy against Vancouver, but even a point, Papa, even a point will be, I think, a decent result, especially against a really good team. But most importantly, we talked about it a little bit on Dylan's pod on COC, which is results versus performance. I think it would go a long way for this Galaxy team to show a performance to G up the crowd, to G up the fans a bit, no pun intended. And hopefully they do that on Saturday at 7:30.
I do want to call out. We have a super chat from the homie Tom. Thank you so much, Tom.
Thanks, man. Hope you enjoyed that conversation. That was really good.
Yeah, man. It was really fun for us as well. I mean, like I said, we hadn't talked to Alexander in a couple years. So Tom says, I enjoyed tonight. Just some love and support. Thank you, man. It's always appreciated. Like we say it all the time. We enjoy being out here with y'all, and y'all saw Alexander enjoyed y'all too. So keep being beautiful, y'alls. I think that brings us to the end of the show. Nanda, I did mention that we will have that match reaction on Thursday, May 7th. We'll also bring you a preview for the Galaxy's trip to A-Town for the Galaxy versus Atlanta. I think that pretty much says it all.
Yes,
Major League Sounds says, whatever happened to the vinyl giveaway? Still to come. Major League Sounds, it's still happening. Let's go ahead and connect on that. And then, guys, we want to say thank you once again for supporting this podcast. We have El Primo with a super chat, last minute super chat. We love it. Thank you so much. We appreciate it, Primo. Donation toward the royalty fees to make the Jelly Roll song the new Lacuna outro. Nah, I'm sticking with Major League Sounds with our music, man. And this is the one, man. This is the one. But thank you guys again. We're gonna see you again very soon on Monday, May 4th. And without further ado, I think there's only one thing left to say, right, Ananda?
Yes, sir. Dale.
Cheese up! Don't forget First
chat.
Fridays, y'all.